to the edge, the tendency is to open it up here. So he's going to step across and up and then put that foot back down. This one never touches the box. So here, here, and down. Why don't we get 3 of those? Nice. That's perfect. Yep, take it all the way off each time. So go down, go ahead and stand natural. Yep, go ahead. Yep, that's okay. Let's get 1 more full rep. You look great. Yep. And back to the point about creativity, you can mix and match the lunges with the step-ups. You may one day have your players do a set of forward lunges and then immediately follow that with a set of forward step-ups. Same can be done with lateral, or you can put them on separate days. Now that we've developed some great power and strength one leg at a time through our lunge series and our step-up series, we're now going to do the same thing with a squat. So now we have a bilateral exercise. A squat is arguably the most functional movement and exercise you do in any sport, and is certainly very relevant to basketball. And we're going to do a variety of different squats. I work primarily with junior high and high school age players, and I've never been a big fan of taking a loaded barbell and putting it atop of their spine, so I don't really do a lot of back squats. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just not my preference. I think to be more specific to the game of basketball, I would rather have my players hold dumbbells, so while we're working the legs and hips and core, we're also strengthening the hands and fingers, which is extremely important. So what we're going to do now, I'll face you and stay square to the camera and demonstrate a couple reps of each squat, and then Ellis will take more of a profile view so you can see it, from a variety of different angles. The front squat, we're going to use dumbbells. He's going to take moderate to light dumbbells and hold them directly in front. He's going to keep his lower arm perpendicular to the ground at all times, chest up, and he's going to take whatever's a comfortable stance for him. For most players, it's a brown hip width. Some like their feet slightly out, some like them neutral. It's whatever is comfortable for that player. And we're going to do a squat where I'm going to keep my chest upright, drop my backside down to the ground, trying to get my thighs parallel to the ground, and then applicating all the force through my heels. As with any of our exercises and jumps, we want to make sure that the knees don't bow in, so we want to stay in whatever position we are. And I'm going to have Ellis do 3 repetitions regular, and then I'm going to have him take a wide stance for 3, and then I'm going to have him take a narrow stance. Those are the 3 different foot positions we try to utilize anytime we can, just to keep some variety and build strength slightly differently. Okay, so he's going to keep his lower arm perpendicular to the ground, and we're going to go ahead, and he's in a comfortable stance. Go ahead. He'll get 3 squats right now. We would probably do anywhere from 10 to 15 if we were actually doing it. And now we'll change the exercise, but he'll go even wider. Yep, perfect. Oh, that's great. And now we'll go feet all the way together. Excellent. This allows you to not only work the body differently, but also add a ton of variety. And perfect, and you can set those down. Now, because a front squat uses so much of your core, you're fairly limited at some point on how much weight you can actually use. So if you really want to overload the lower body, now we're going to do a set of squats where we're going to double the weight. Ellis will grab a pair of 30-pound dumbbells, and he's going to hold them at his sides. This is also a little more taxing on the grip and hands. Exact same thing we just did. He'll get a regular squat for 3. When he goes wide, I'll just have him put the dumbbells in between so he doesn't bang against his knees, and then we'll go outside and we'll go narrow. So why don't you go ahead and grab the 30s, move up front, yep, and let's get 3 reps regular. That is perfect. And then we'll go wide. You can put the dumbbells on the inside. There you go. Perfect. And then we'll go narrow. You look great. That's fantastic. And perfect. You can set those down. The last variation we'll use, we'll double the weight again and use an even heavier dumbbell, but we're only going to use 1. We can do this from 2 different positions. The first would be more of a one-arm deadlift. For the most part, from the lower body down, it's the same as a squat. What Ellis will do is he'll kind of straddle, the dumbbell will be on the ground right between his feet, and he'll bend down, make sure he lowers his hips. He's not just bending at the waist, but he's going to actually lower his hips, and he'll grab the dumbbell, stand all the way up, and he's going to go up and down, just touching it to the ground each time. We'll do 3 of those reps, and then he's going to put it on the side and do another squat, similar to what he just did, except now there's only weight on one side, which means it's pulling him, gravity's pulling him in this direction. He needs to use all the muscles of his core to not let that happen. So he's going to do a one-arm squat, 3 reps in front, 3 reps to the side. So go ahead and move that dumbbell up front. Yep. Go ahead and get 3 reps. Yep, stand all the way up. Perfect. And let's hold it in your left hand so you're closer to the camera. And now put it on your side. Narrow your stance a little bit. Yep. Now just do a regular squat, but try not to let it pull you down to the side. Yep. Great. Yep. Big drive. One more. And that is perfect. With our strength training, for the most part throughout the year, and we make some exceptions during the season, we try to have our guys work their lower body twice a week. One time each week we'll focus more on the squat and the different variations, and one time each week we'll focus on one of our one-legged exercises, either our lunge or our step-up series. In our last segment of our lower body strength training, we're going to go back to doing some isolateral leg exercises, so we're going to use one leg at a time. The first one, Matt's going to come have a seat here on the bench. This is just a standard multi-adjustable weight training bench, and he's just going to use one leg to stand up and then sit back down. This is kind of a version of our one-legged squat, but it's a great way to make sure the player goes through a full range of motion. So why don't you go ahead and do 4 reps just on that same foot. Yep, don't let the other one touch. Perfect. He's only doing 4 reps. You would do 15 to 20. Obviously, anything you do on your left leg, you got to make sure you do on your right as well, and that's perfect. The next one we'll do, go ahead and lie down on your back. This is a great exercise for working the posterior chain, which is the hamstring and the backside. Matt's going to move himself in so that the bottom leg is making a 90-degree angle, and that leg's not going to change, but he's going to push his heel into the bench and raise this heel to the sky as high as he can, making a bridge, working all backside, all hamstring. That's perfect. Just do 4 reps would be great. Excellent. And I really like doing these two in succession. I like having a player do 15 reps of a one-legged get-up and then immediately go down and do 15 hip raises. It's great because you're working the front side and the back side equally. The last 2 things we'll do, Matt's going to pick up the dumbbells. We're going to do, you can either call it a split squat or an elevated lunge. It's the same thing. He's going to put one foot on top, and he can either put his toe down or his toe up, whatever's more comfortable for him. He's going to take an extended position, ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders facing forward, and all he's trying to do is get his back knee as close to the ground as he can. There's no movement with the front foot, and he's just dropping the dumbbell straight to the ground. Yep, perfect. Let's get 4 of those. That's great. Full extension at the top. This is a tremendous exercise. And then the last one we'll do to also work the posterior side, and I like to do these 2 in succession. Now that he has the dumbbells, he's going to balance on one foot, will balance on his right, keep his foot flat, and all he's going to do, trying to keep his back as flat as possible, is get the dumbbells as close to the ground as he can. I'm not as concerned that the dumbbells touch the ground as I am that he keeps his back flat. I don't want a lot of rounding in the spine. I want him to think more bend at the waist. When he can't go any lower, he'll come straight back up. This is working primarily hamstring. Just make sure you don't kick the bench. Yep, scoot forward just a little bit. I can move the bench for you, buddy. Yep, perfect. Let's get 4 of those. Yeah, that's textbook. Perfect. And as I mentioned, I like to do those 2 back to back, where he would do an elevated split squat for 15 reps and then immediately take his foot off and do a one-legged stiff leg deadlift. Great for working the hamstring. Every basketball coach on the planet is familiar with your traditional wall sit, where you have a player back against the wall, they get down in a 90-degree angle and they hold. We want to try to add some creativity to that. So we're going to do wall sits, same premise, but we're going to do them from a variety of different angles, and we're going to do some different things. The first one we're going to do is called a reverse wall sit, which is great for working the posterior side of the body and works the core. We also use this sometimes as a finisher. It's a great team builder, as we'll have the entire team lined up. What we're going to do is take a weight. We're going to use a 25, which is a pretty challenging resistance. And Matt's going to step in here. If you have younger players, you can use a 10. If you have real advanced players or guys that have been doing this for a while, you can use a 45. He's sitting in a perfect athletic stance. Arms are straight. He keeps the weight pinned against the wall the entire time. He's in a good, powerful stance. He's in a good base. Looks great. Make sure he's breathing. We would hold this anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute and relax. That's enough for now. That's excellent. A couple other versions of our wall sit when we're trying to be creative, and Ellis, I'll have you come in and demonstrate, is we're going to do a lateral wall sit. So we're going to really focus that power and strength on one leg. You're going to put your right knee, hip, and shoulder up against the wall. This leg is out far enough to make a 45-degree angle, and we're just going to hold right here. Again, we would normally hold for 1 minute. We'll just have you hold for 10, 12 seconds. Now, since your legs are so long, keep scooting it out. This leg needs to be at a 45, and lift that knee up so I could set my drink on it right there and just hold, squeezing everything in here. Excellent. And relax. As always, with our one-legged exercises, we would hold that for a minute, and then we'd have the players reverse, and we do the other side. The last one, Matt, I'll have you come in here, and I want you to sit in a traditional wall sit position. Yep. And you're just going to move laterally to your right. Why don't you take 3 steps? So you're just going to be here. You're just going to move to your right for 3 steps and then move back to the left. So we add a little movement component. Excellent. Excellent. Let's get one more up and back. That looks great. That's perfect. He's at a perfect parallel position. Feet look great. And perfect. Nice job. The great things about the wall sit is you can really build some camaraderie at the end of a workout or practice. If you have enough wall space, you can line the team up and you can get their competitive juices flowing. You can say, you know, let's see who goes until the last person standing, or in this case, sitting, or you can go for time. It's a great way to really have a team building effect to end and put an exclamation point on a great workout. Now we're moving to the upper body strength segment of our workout. As far as an upper body is concerned, the most important thing is to make sure that you're balancing your pushes with your pulls. Lots of times, guys in particular have the tendency to only do the muscles that they can see in the mirror, which means they do a lot of bench presses and incline presses and curls, but they neglect the posterior side of the body. To keep your shoulders strong and healthy, you want to make sure however many pushes you do the same thing for pulls. And one of the things we always want to do is use as many different ranges of motion and go through as many different planes of motion as we can. So we're not going to do any basic exercises here. We're going to kind of put a twist on some of the ones you're probably very familiar with. The first thing we'll do, and this serves as a great upper body warm-up, we're going to go grab one of our mini bands that we used earlier, and Ellis is going to put these around his wrist, and he's going to get in a good push-up position. Go ahead, why don't you go lay down right here. And he's going to assume a perfect push-up position where he's not letting his backside rise up, he's not letting his hips sink, and he's going to take now, fighting the resistance of the band, he's going to go out, out, do a push-up, in, in. Out, out, push-up, in. Go ahead, why don't you knock out 5 or 6 of those. Excellent. Let's get one more. And perfect. Now that's a great way to add a little extra resistance, make the shoulders work a little bit more. And again, that one can be done without any spotter, can be done in a large group. You can have the entire team. You're really only limited by whatever space you have and however many bands you have. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to move to a bench press, dumbbell chest press type position, but we're going to do it a little bit different. The first one, he's going to go ahead and grab 40-pound weights, which for Ellis is a moderate weight. He's used heavier, but we want to go a little bit lighter. And the most important part when doing any of the dumbbell presses is you see how he has himself set up. He lifts the dumbbells up and he sets them on his thigh or on his knee, so he's in a stable position. He's going to lay back and bring the dumbbells into his armpits nice and tight, and then he's ready to begin the exercise. That's mostly a safety precaution. Anytime we're doing dumbbell presses, we'll always have a spotter. So he's going to go ahead and lay back, and then I'll talk you through it. Now we're going to do this in 2 different ways. Right now, he's just going to punch up his right arm and put the right arm back down, then punch up the left. Go ahead. Punch right, back down, and left. Yep, back down, right. Let's get 2 of each. Yep, and left. Now I want you to drive them both up. Keep them both up. Now just do 2 reps in a row with your right arm. Keep the left one up. Boom, there's 1. And there's 2. Now get 2 for your left. Yep, and I'm just here. I'm not doing anything. And perfect. Now he's going to bring them into his armpits, both of them, and set them on the ground. Nope, you're just going to set them on the ground. We're going to go ahead and get out. It's extremely important when you're working with your players that they know how not just to do the exercise, but how to get into it and out of it safely. If we were doing that as a full set, he may do 8 to 10 reps on his right, 8 to 10 on his left. You can alternate back and forth. You can keep both of them up and alternate. You can keep both of them up, do all on one side. So no different in the way that it works your muscles from a regular two-armed chest press, but now we're adding some variety, which will stimulate your players. Next thing we'll do, we'll clear these out of the way. He's going to grab the 15s and go ahead and put those on your thigh. Yep. And just sit there for a second. Now we're going to do 3 different ranges of motion. Now for this one, it's extremely important to pick a much lighter weight than you would normally use. When Ellis lays back, he's going to do the first rep, which is going to kind of look like a decline press, although in the body position we're in, it's not the same as a decline, but it's going to work his shoulders. He's going to press it over his knees. Then he's going to press the dumbbells out in the shape of a Y with his palms up, and then he's going to push them back over his head. And I'm going to help. So he's going to go ahead and lay back now. Put them at your armpits. Your first rep, I want you to aim for my hands right where they were. So you're going to push in that direction. Yep, and then pull back. Yep. You can't let them hit your thigh, though. Push, push up. Yep, and back. A little bit higher. Let's get one more. Yep, and back. That's perfect. Now you're going to go palms up, and you're going to come out like a Y. Yep, just like that. Go ahead and get 2 of those on your own. Perfect. One more. Now I want you to aim towards my hands. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of core. Perfect. Get one more. Now do one of each one more time. Go over your thighs, back, out like a Y, back, back towards me, back, and perfect. You can go ahead and dismount, set them down. Excellent. As you can see, it puts the shoulder in kind of a compromising position, so it's extremely important to use a very light resistance. But again, in the game of basketball, you're going to find your arms in compromising positions when you play. So we want to try and mimic that in a very structured, controlled environment with everything that we do. When it comes to strength training for the upper body, for the most part, there's 4 different ranges of motion that we want to focus on. There's certainly more, but these 4 are the easiest to work in a conventional method. The first is a horizontal push, which is a chest press, which we just did. The next is a vertical push, which is going to be a shoulder press, and that's what we're going to address now. And then the remaining 2 would be a horizontal pull, which is a row, or a vertical pull, which would be like a pull-up or a pull-down. We just did a horizontal push. Now we're going to go ahead and demonstrate a vertical push. Ellis is going to pick up the 20s. Because the game of basketball is played standing up, I like to do all of our pressing exercises, our shoulder exercises from a standing position, so that we're also working the legs and core. So he'll stand, and you can face in this direction. All we're going to do is the same thing we did on the chest press, but we'll do with a shoulder press. So you can just push right, and then push left, and then we'll push them both up, and you can do just right and then just left, and I'll talk you through it. Yep, perfect. Yep. There you go. Now put them both to your shoulders. Now just push the right up and down. Just one time. Yep, up and down. Now go left up and down. Go right up and down. Left up and down. And perfect. And you can set those down. That's perfect. Nice job. And go ahead and pick up the lighter dumbbells. Now we're going to go through a similar shoulder press series or matrix, very similar to what we did on the chest press. He's going to be in a good athletic stance. He's going to push them in front at about a 45-degree angle. It doesn't need to be all the way out here. So he's going to push them here. Why don't you go ahead and do 3 reps? Yep, there you go. Make sure you bend your legs a little bit so you're in a good athletic stance. There you go. Perfect. Now he's going to go palms to the ceiling, and he's going to go out like a Y. Yep, perfect. There you go. Yep, one more. That looks great. And now he's going to push them behind his head. It doesn't need to go back. If from the middle of his head, if there was a straight line up in the air, I just want him to get it behind that line. So almost just behind his ears. Yep, there we go. And perfect, you can set those down. Excellent. Now, just like with any of the things we've been doing, and I do apologize if I sound like a broken record, any of our standing exercises, if you want to add more variety to what we just did, you simply alter your feet. So we just did everything now from a neutral athletic stance. We could do the same thing from a split stance any of those same exercises. Obviously, we could do here. We can do them from a wide stance, a narrow stance. So really, you have one exercise, a dumbbell shoulder press, and you have a half a dozen ways that you can change the upper body, half a dozen ways you can change the lower body. So that one exercise is now done in several dozen ways. So there's no reason for you or your players to ever get bored with what you're doing. The variety is limitless. I'm a big believer in doing some combination exercises where you get more bang for your buck. Most junior high and high school programs are fairly limited on time, so anytime you can do an exercise that involves more muscle, the better off you'll be. Ellis is now going to demonstrate a push-up row, which works great if you have the dumbbells of a hexagon nature that aren't round. It's a little easier to perform. He's going to get down in a push-up position, holding some 20s, which is a moderate weight but an appropriate weight. His feet are going to be a little wider than a normal push-up, and all he's going to do, he's going to lower himself as deep as he can into a push-up, push up, and then he's going to pull one arm, one dumbbell to his armpit, put it back, do another push-up, then do the other side. So go ahead, Ellis. Push up and pull. Yep, do another push-up. Or you can do it, that's fine as well. Go ahead, go down to a push-up. Either way is fine. As long as you're balancing your pulls between your right and your left. Excellent. Go ahead, get one more. So now we're working just about every muscle group in the upper body. That's perfect. And relax. Nice job. One other exercise I love to use, and you can do this one in group format. All we're going to need are a couple of plates. We're going to use 2 5-pound plates. And Ellis is going to put them face in so the smooth side's out. He's going to pancake them right here, and he is just going to hold directly in front of his face. He's got to squeeze his chest, so we're working a lot of core. So go ahead and hold those. Now try not to put your fingers underneath them. I know you have big hands. Yep, you just want to patty cake them. Perfect. Go ahead and hold right there. He could also make this a little harder. He can twist to the side and bring it back and then twist to the side. Once you get a little range of motion, turn to the side. Yep, so now we're getting some core, but we're really working a lot of chest and shoulders. Get one more each way and then we'll set those down. And perfect, that's great. Now we've worked a lot of our pushing exercises and muscles with our chest presses and our shoulder presses. It's important that we work the posterior side, the back side. The back side is extremely important in basketball, especially when boxing out. One of my favorite stabilization exercises requires 2 benches of equal heights or 2 boxes. Matt's going to position himself down in between. He's going to put his upper arm on the back, and his lower arm will stay vertical, almost like field goal posts, and he's going to raise his hips up and pause at the top. He's basically supporting his entire body by the back of his shoulders and his back. So go ahead and lift up, and he's just going to hold in this position right here. This is a tremendous exercise for the posterior side, and this is what's called an isometric. So there's no range of motion. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and relax. Trying to get players to hold this position for anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds is extremely challenging, but it's great. Again, you're only limited by the number of benches that you have, but this is a perfect exercise to kind of work into a circuit. To have a player go from this and then right over to, say, a pull-up is a great way to pre-exhaust that exercise. Another great exercise for the posterior side for working the back is a bent over row. Lots of times when this is done, you'll have a player support their knee on a bench. I want to try and keep both feet on the ground, so Matt's going to assume a good athletic position here. He's going to bend over, and he's just using the bench for a little bit of extra balance, and he's going to pull, keeping his back flat and parallel to the ground. He's going to pull his thumb to his armpit. He's going to do 3 reps like that. And then he's just going to turn the dumbbell 90 degrees, so then it's vertical, and do 3 reps vertical. Yep, perfect. Just a slight change in variation, nothing major. And now, to make this extremely difficult, he's going to balance on one leg. So he's going to balance just on his left. He can use this for support and pull here. This will just kind of work the lower body and hip a little bit different. I know we're working upper body, but we want to try to challenge our entire body anytime that we can. Excellent. Just get 3 of those. And perfect. I like doing these one arm at a time because a player can handle a little bit more resistance, but you can also do these 2 at a time. So he could hold both dumbbells, get in a bent over position here, back flat, and pull both up. He can still do that, one leg, pull both up. So you have a lot of variety with what you can do. The pull-up is the king of upper body exercises and one of the best ways to develop strength on your back, on the posterior side, as well as in your hands. We're fortunate enough here to have a pull-up bar that has varying grips, so we're going to try and utilize every different grip, but I'm also going to show you some ways to modify, as I know there's lots of players that can't perform either a pull-up or several pull-ups, effectively. So we want to make sure that this can work for anyone. We'll have Matt hop in here. Let's first just go with an overhand pull-up. You can take whatever grip you want. And yep, just pulling chin above bar. Most important thing is that they go through a full range of motion. Yep, just getting two and relax. It's so important. Players are going to want to give you what we call dinosaur arms or alligator arms. They're going to want to go through this range of motion because it's the only way that they can complete a certain number of pull-ups. When you're coaching your players through this, the number of pull-ups is irrelevant. The goal is making sure that the players are doing as many pull-ups as they can do. Matt may be able to do 12. Ellis may only be able to do 5. That's okay. There's no comparison there. The most important part is that they're doing them correctly. I would rather have Ellis do 5 pull-ups through a full range of motion than give me little alligator arms and do 7. So the next one we'll do, we did an overhand grip. We're going to take a neutral grip here where your hands are facing each other. Why don't you go ahead and do 2 of those. And each of these we would do for a full set. So right now we're just demonstrating. And why don't we go right to an underhand grip. You can either go close or shoulder width apart, whatever's comfortable. Excellent. Now one way to make any of these more taxing on the grip is to use a towel. And we'll use a simple hand towel. There's a couple ways we can do this. We can loop it around here and the player can grab they can roll the towel up here, and they're going to get a full repetition. Oh, starting to twist. Here. Or they can put one hand around both on the towel and the other hand on the bar. So now you're getting a little bit different range of motion here. Now, anytime we're involving the towel, it puts a tremendous stress on the hands and fingers, which is great. General rule for pull-ups, if you have a player that can perform, say, 12 to 15 perfect pull-ups through a full range of motion, then and only then should you add some external resistance. You can either have them wear a weighted vest, or you can take a dumbbell and place it in between their feet or in between their knees. But the goal is to make sure that you're working somewhere in that 10 to 15 rep range. Now, on the other hand, what you'll find probably more common are players that can't either do a pull-up or can't do very many. There's a couple ways we can still make sure it's a valuable exercise. The first is they're just going to do the negative portion. So all you're going to do, Matt, you can take an underhand grip. You're going to climb up until your chin is above the bar, and then just slowly lower yourself. So assume that you can't pull your body up. Yep, just get your chin above the bar. Now just lower yourself. Take 6-7 seconds to lower till your arms are straight. Then climb up again.